Hey guys, welcome back to another Helix video. Today, Line 6 has announced a brand new Helix product. It's the Helix LT, and they're referring to it as Streamlined HX Guitar Processor. So what they've done is they've taken the flagship Helix floor model and they've changed it just a little bit to make it a little more cost conscious, cost effective, to get the retail price down quite a bit. So before we get too into what this thing is and does and doesn't do, they have a nice side-by-side view down here. So you can see the difference between, the regular Helix floor and then the Helix LT. So, of course, the most important difference and the most important factor here is going to be cost, after all. Helix floor is still retailing at $14.99, and Helix LT is going to sell at $9.99. So you've got a $500 difference there. Roughly a 30% discount. So let's talk about what you don't lose. What is the same as the Helix floor? So what you have in the brain section here is essentially exactly what is in the Helix floor or the Helix rack. It's the same amount of DSP, the same two chips. Everything is running all the same algorithms, all the same effects and amps. Any patch that can be made on a Helix floor or a Helix rack can be made on an LT, and they can be exchanged. So the key thing here is you save $500 and you get all of the tone, all of the options, the full Helix experience for $500 less. That's a really cool thing. So of course there are some differences that there would have to be. Otherwise, Helix floor owners would be very upset if all of a sudden a new unit that did everything the exact same way was $500 less. So let's talk about a few of those. As you can see, there are no scribble strips or screens, small screens above the foot switches. You just have labeled A, B, C, and D. When you compare that to the Helix floor, you have scribble strips that are dynamic. They change depending on if you're in stomp mode, preset mode, snapshot mode. They will tell you what the foot switch is currently going to do if you hit it. So what Helix LT has done is they have added a view mode. When you hit the home screen, it's a performance mode, so it'll show you a grid of what these 8-foot switches are capable of doing. Whether it be the naming of the presets or the stomp on off or snapshots, it'll show you what is pertaining to these foot switches. So that'll be invaluable live. You would have to have some kind of memory to be able to program this thing and remember what every foot switch is doing without some kind of visual reference. So I think that was a very smart thing that they did. And then you can see as well up here, you basically got a light for expression pedal 1 and 2 versus on the Helix floor, you've got another scribble strip to tell you. But that's the main physical difference. One other minor physical difference is the volume knob. The separate volume knob for the headphone output has now been integrated into the main volume knob, so you lose that volume knob. And now, this just controls the volume for the outputs and the headphones. So, not a huge deal that I've found. Typically, I would say if I'm using my headphones, I'm not at the same time running out to a PA and playing a gig, usually. So, me personally, that doesn't seem like it's going to be a big deal. As you can see, the unit is physically constructed in a different manner. The expression pedal is a different design. I'm going to assume all of these were done to be able to manufacture the unit at a lower cost and bring it down to that price point, because in the same way that you don't lose any horsepower DSP, that means that the same amount of money in terms of circuit boards and DSP chips that go into Helix go into here. So they had to be able to put the savings, get the savings out of some other part of the design. So the chassis is a little different. One thing I will say, though, when I first looked at the image, I guess I just assumed because it was LT, kind of in my mind, that means that's the light version, that it was going to be smaller. but it's actually not really smaller. If you look at the dimensions, the width and height are the same. The or the depth and height, however you want to say it, but the total width is only about an inch and a half difference, and it's about 2.5 pounds lighter. So I have seen a picture of these sitting side by side, and they look pretty close to being the same size. So the size and weight is still pretty there, which tells you that this is still a very substantial unit. It's not a toy. It's still made out of good stuff. A few things as we go through here. This unit will work with Helix Edit, which means you can use the editor to create and modify and share patches, not only on your device but across other Helix devices. Hands-free, there is the same pedal edit mode that the Helix Floor has. Capacitive foot switches, I was really surprised that they were able to keep this feature at this price point. So just like with Helix Floor, if you touch any of these switches with bare skin, your hands or your bare foot, whatever, let's say this was controlling a modulation or a loop. I think it looks like about the same color. Let's say this C here is controlling this. If you touch this with your hand, it will bring up the parameters for this block down here automatically. And then if you touch this, I think that's tied to the EQ going by color. Again, it would pull all of the parameters here. So that's really cool. And then if you select a block and then hold and long press on any of these, it'll give you the option to assign whatever that block that's active is to the foot switch that you're holding. So very, very, just like it's the same way it works with the Helix Floor. So it's very intuitive and very quick to get things done, get things assigned. So what else is missing? So let's take a look at the back panel. Basically, you have expression pedal 2, whereas Helix has also an expression pedal 3. So you lose one expression pedal. Guitar in, there is no auxiliary in. It's just the guitar in. Also, there is not a microphone preamp on here. There's no way to run a microphone through this like you can on the Helix Floor. You have 2 effects loops versus 4 effects loops on the Helix Floor. So that's half, but still 2 effects loops is really quite generous for most applications. If you wanted a loop of pedals before the virtual amp and a loop after, you could definitely do that. Here are your outputs, your 1/4 inch and your XLR, standard stuff. Headphone out. Here's your Variax input. This is the digital out. This can be used for AES or Line 6 link, MIDI connections, and of course USB. And then there's your power. So essentially, you're giving up 2 effects loops, 1 expression pedal, and it goes auxiliary in, microphone in, and SPDIF connection, which is another digital connection. So, ultimately, you're not really giving up a whole lot. Now, these are they basically the retail sites beat Line 6 to the punch, because these were showing up on e-commerce sites before Line 6 had them on their website. One of the sites that they were on was Sweetwater. And the reason I want to pull over here, we can see again $9.99, but this is that performance mode that I was talking about. So we have a grid of 8, 4A, 3A, 4B, 3B, so forth and so on, and that corresponds to the foot switches down below. So that's how your performance display is going to look. Not having seen this work in action, I'm assuming you can toggle between a preset view, which is what this is, and a stomp box view, and then probably some form of snapshot view. I know on Helix Floor there's several options you can do in relation to that with the scribble strips and what they show. So I'm sure that this performance view will have some of that as well. But anyway, that's Helix LT in a nutshell. You get a full blown, all the horsepower of a Helix, for a third less of the price, and that's pretty awesome. So if any of you guys were out there on the fence and we're looking at that, $799 to $999 price point, like some of the amplifier stuff, I think now this puts that squarely in the ballpark. And a lot of times with Sweetwater and Musician's Friend, the kind of the big box, if you want to call them, but the bigger stores, you can pretty frequently find 10% off, 15% off, specials that they run. When I bought my Helix, I got 15% off. With that in play, you're definitely getting this down to amplifier type of money, and I'm not knocking amplifier at all, but if you look at the complexity of what you can do with Helix, to me, Helix is kind of in another league at any price point, in terms of the flexibility and routing and options and so forth. Full disclosure, I love Helix. I'm a very big fan of Helix, so take that for what it is. But I think that this is going to represent a tremendous value to the market, and I think they're going to move quite a few of these. So anyway, thanks to Line 6 for coming out with another amazing product. Look forward to seeing these out in the wild and seeing more Helix around. And the next thing I think to look forward to is going to be the Helix Native, which is the plug-in software version of Helix that I'm greatly anticipating for my studio. So anyway, I hope this was informative. If you want to find out more about Helix XT, sorry, throwback from an old Line 6 pedal. Helix LT, check out Line 6's website. You can go on YouTube and search around. The Line 6 Movies channel has a video by Paul Hindmarsh, and there's a Sweetwater has some videos. So there's some information out there. Check it out and go give one a test drive. So thanks for watching.